a bit of a look at how the current government policy mix is being used to achieve each of our economic goals. So it's very important that you can get a big question about how is the policy mix being designed to influence inflation at the moment, or external stability, or any of these goals, and then you're able to articulate what the current government policy mix is doing to achieve that specific goal. So in terms of which policies are useful for each goal, you can see I've got a little table here that goes through which policies can be used for economic growth, for price stability, for full employment, external stability, and so on and so forth. So you can see this is basically an indication of what you want to be talking about when you're linking each specific goal to the different policies that can be implemented. So you can see for the first three, price stability, economic growth, and full employment, all three of the different policies will be used, so both the demand management policies, monetary and budgetary, as well as supply side policy. And then for external stability, we're mainly going to be using budgetary supply and aggregate supply side policy, and we'll talk about why monetary policy is not useful. For equity, it's just budgetary policy. And then when you're targeting living standards, monetary policies can be quite ineffective because of this one nature of monetary policy and the fact that it can't target specific sectors of the economy. So what we're going to go through now is basically, and we'll do it over 2 videos, what are the things you should be talking about in relation to which policies are being used or implemented to achieve each of our economic goals. So we'll start with low inflation. So with low inflation, first of all, any questions you could ask, explain how the policy mix is working to achieve low inflation in Australia at the moment. As soon as you see the word policy mix, you should be going, all right, budgetary, monetary, supply. How are these all working to help to achieve low inflation at the moment, or what's the goal of each of them at the moment? So for income and starting off your answers, I will be explaining, well, in the current environment, inflation is really low, and giving some reasons for that. So inflation is less than 10%. The end of the mining boom has caused a lot of spare capacity, caused lower wages, less mining investment, and falling incomes, which has meant that inflation has been less of a concern. So monetary policy is not really worried about inflation, and therefore it's being used in a more expansionary fashion to boost employment and growth. And none of this should be new to you. The 2 cuts can actually say to 1.5 this year. So the low cash rate could cause some inflationary pressure, and you can explain how that would be the case, but it's not a massive issue because of the low inflation at the moment. Then we've got to talk about, well, how can budgetary and supply side policies be used to help to lower inflation? So in terms of supply side policies, that's all about pushing out aggregate supply and alleviating cost pressures. So within that, you can talk about immigration policy. You can talk about how increased skill migration in areas of skill shortages is helping to lower prices and make there more competition for jobs. You can talk about how lower tariffs on things we're importing, like manufactured goods and cars and things like that, as part of the Chinese-Japanese free trade agreement, are helping to lower costs of production for businesses. So it's important that you're just really analysing how each of these policies is working to achieve this goal at this point in time. So also you could talk about aggregate supply policies within the budget. So immigration is not a budgetary supply side policy. Trade liberalisation, there can be parts of it that are included within budgetary policy, but it's technically a microeconomic reform policy. But you can also talk about other aggregate supply policies, like the fact that we are increasing infrastructure spending in the Northern Territory with the Beef Roads program, or the fact that the lower company taxes and how that will hopefully lead to lower inflation in the long term because we invest more. So you can make these links to all the things we've learned throughout the year into targeting how the policy mix is working to create low inflation. You can also talk about your supply side links. You can talk about immigration. You can talk about trade liberalisation. You can talk about supply policies within the budget. You can also talk about the fact that the budgetary policy stance has been slightly contractionary, and this push towards fiscal consolidation should help to contain growth and inflationary pressure as well. So the idea that that can have some negative impact on aggregate demand, which should keep inflation under control. Although the last 2 years' budgets have only been mildly contractionary, they've included many supply-side measures like the lower company taxes, depreciation allowances, which increase productivity and allow for more sustainable growth. So again, it's just a really big, broad question about how each of the policy mixes are being used to achieve low inflation. Thank you.